Three, two, one, ghost. Hey, everybody. Welcome to 321 Ghost. I'm your host with a silent G, Kyle. And as always, and I'd like to think, in a professional podcasting way, the Earl to my Val, I'd say. Hey, Natalie, how are you?
I'll take that. I'll take Earl. Yeah.
You are the older one.
By 4 months? No, not even 2 months. 2 months older for the record, everyone.
They never designate how much older Earl is than Val,
In real life, it's about 10 years.
is it?
Hmm.
Hmm. Hey, everybody. Welcome to 321 Ghost. We're going to be talking about my favorite movies growing up.
Mm.
One movie that I'm very excited to talk about. Also, a movie I feel like I have quietly nominated multiple months, even dating back to the early days of this podcast. Y'all, we're going to be talking about 1990s Tremors. This movie kicks all sorts of ass. You're
Mm.
shaking your head in a no, you haven't kind of way. What is that response?
I really don't think that you've been suggesting this movie since the beginning. I
That's
feel
why I
like that's
said
a blatant lie.
that's why I said quietly, so probably a little too quietly.
Too so quietly that he didn't say it, write it, nothing.
This movie checks all the boxes. It's a little horror. It's a little bit comedy. It's a little bit romance. Well, got some sci-fi, got some fantasy, and some good lessons about prepping, which I coming into this movie, my mind has been changed on preppers.
Preppers?
Yeah, preppers. Oh my God. We'll get into it. So this movie is directed by Ron Underwood. Um, I have not seen, I don't think I've seen any other Ron Underwood movies, but he has made movies I've heard of. He made City Slickers.
You've
You
never
see that
seen
one?
City Slickers?
Never seen City Slickers.
Hmm. Or Mighty Joe Young?
I haven't seen Mighty Joe Young either. At
Don't.
least not the full movie.
Don't.
That's the one with the gorilla, right?
Yeah, I don't think it's aged. It probably hasn't aged well.
But it's not like a King Kong type of gorilla, right? Like it's just a normal ass natural born
No.
gorilla, or is it a super gorilla?
He's a big ass gorilla. Like not as big as King Kong, but very large. Like abnormally large. Otherwise, what the fuck would even be the point?
I don't know. Like when you say like, I mean, I think any gorilla is mighty.
I see where you're coming from. I see
Yeah.
where you're coming from. But if it's only just one sole gorilla and the movie is about him, like he's a big ass gorilla. Like he cradles Charlize Theron in his arms when he
Oh,
like grows like bigger. They love each other. That's very cute.
oh, so he does become like pretty big, like not a King Kong size gorilla, where like,
Yeah, but he's big and he has his King Kong moments. So definitely very inspired.
hmm,
Yeah.
okay,
Again though, I don't know if it's worth watching. I haven't watched it since when did it come out? 1998. So,
that feels late. For some reason, I was thinking that movie was like no later than 96, maybe
I
1993.
I agree with that. It
Yeah.
is 1998 though.
And then City Slickers came out the year after Tremors. I wonder if they looked at Tremors and were like, yeah, you can film in a kind of westerny kind of situation. Just take out
Yeah.
the graboids and throw Billy Crystal in there and you're fine. I don't know if he did The Legend of Curly's Gold, but that's also a movie I haven't seen. Um, also, this movie's directed by Ron Underwood, mentioned that. Written by Brent Maddock and S.S. Wilson. I'm not going to look up and find out. Never mind. I was going to say I'm not going to find out what the S.S. stands for, but it is Steve and Seth. Um, they wrote Short Circuit. Brent Maddock
Fun one.
also looks like he is a credited writer on Wild Wild West. So again, maybe with Wild Wild West, he was like, "Hey, look at Tremors. I can do a sci-fi situation in a Western setting.
Everything could be in a Western setting.
You need it to be a spider. You need some racist and ableist jokes. Yeah, I could just do all this for 2 hours. Yeah, Wild Wild West, that's a weird one. Gosh,
I feel like we should just talk about that one at some point.
I think it counts.
Not
That
really, not really horror.
No. How about would you categorize Men in Black as a horror movie? Because I kind of would
No,
sometimes.
I would say sci-fi comedy.
It's sci-fi comedy, but
Comedy sci-fi.
there's some horrific elements.
Yeah, there are some pretty creepy things that happen in those movies for sure.
Yeah, I think so. Um, this movie starring our boy, industry
Mm.
legend, Easy, Kevin Bacon, right?
He's already been given an industry legend for Friday the 13th.
No, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah,
saw that
he's the best.
he does a bunch of cute videos with his kid and his wife, and
Mm-hmm.
they did something. Did you see the video that they posted for the anniversary of Friday the 13th?
No, I don't think I did.
Oh, it's dumb, but it's cute. I just
I'm
like that
sure it
he
is.
still is like super down with that movie,
He
right?
should be. I think he gets a lot of love for it, as he
Yeah.
does most things that he's been in.
So he plays our one of our lead hero cowboys, Val.
Mm.
His confidant, the equally is illustrious, if not maybe not as eternally recognized.
Mm-hmm.
Fred Ward. Fuck yeah, dude.
I love Fred Ward.
Rest in peace, Fred Ward.
I know.
And then we've got Finn Carter, who Finn Carter wasn't in a whole lot of things outside of this, but fuck, she kicks ass in this movie. So we've got
Mm-hmm.
Finn Carter as Rhonda. This is how stacked this cast is. I always say a cast is stacked.
Yeah, you do.
Um,
We only pick movies that have stacked casts.
right. So we're already like four people into the billing here, and you've got Michael Gross, who ends up taking the mantle for this whole fucking thing going forward.
He
Um,
sure does. He's the best. He's the best part of like the franchise because it gets pretty fucking wild and pretty shitty in a lot of places, but him playing Burt Gummer is always fun to watch.
it's a pretty fun situation. Did you watch Family Ties, the other thing he's famous for?
Yeah, not like a little bit, because it was on.
He is the sci even though this movie came out before Scream. Um, he is I guess, the sci-fi comedy answer to Courtney Cox in a lot of ways, where you have this very, straight-laced, kind of nerdy, boring character that he's very famous for playing on TV, and then
Mm-hmm.
jumps into this horror franchise where he does a complete 180 of a character, So
Mm-hmm.
a little bit your Monica and Friends to Gale
Yeah.
Weathers and Scream,
Yeah. I like that
And
comparison.
I'm going to be leaning on you quite a bit, maybe not
Yeah,
quite a bit, but just for some reference points.
that
Um,
makes sense.
we haven't been able to pay our research team in quite some time. So I'm just going to
They've
be
been a
really
little
upfront with that.
absent.
If you've noticed, they've been a little absent. Good thing we do have a resident graboid expert in the digital room here. And by that, I mean you've seen all the movies. I haven't. I have seen this one 1,000 times.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen the second one once when I was
Oh, the second one's so good.
sure. I'll
You
probably
should
get
watch it
there.
again. You should watch it again.
I thought I remember seeing the third one because I distinctly remember them flying, even though you kind of clarified that they are, what'd you call them, ass blasters
Ass
that
blasters.
that use gas, their own generate
Oh,
self-generated gas
flaming gas.
oh Jesus, to propel
Yeah.
themselves into the air, but also have little wings so they can kind of
Little baby wings.
yeah. So it's not like a flying, but like a falling with style kind of situation. You've got some
Yeah.
kind of direct yourself down there,
Yeah.
kind of like a couple little Buzz Lightyears just floating around. And then I saw the one with Jamie Kennedy, just because Jamie Kennedy's in it.
Mm. I think we watched that together.
The
That's the one,
first
A
one,
Cold Day in Hell.
there's one before that, because I guess Jamie Kennedy's in two of them,
Oh,
huh?
Shrieker Island. I hate that I know the names.
Jesus. And it's hard as much as I haven't seen these movies. That's the one with John Heater is Streaker Island. That's the most not Streaker Island, Shrieker Island, the first one. Just a naked Napoleon Dynamite just running around.
Yeah. You saw the one where they're on the island, not where they're in like the Arctic.
No, neither.
Oh, neither of them. Oh,
Thanks
God, I've
everybody for
seen
helping
all of
us
them.
figure this out. There's another one with Jamie Kennedy that takes place before those ones. Burt Gummer is your kind of very right wing conspiracy theorist,
Hmm.
very much, QAnon, probably QAnon
Oh,
adjacent,
yeah. Yeah.
definitely, right?
I don't think it existed then, but if he had access to the internet, absolutely.
uh, I really don't want Bert Gummer to have access to the internet. I don't
No.
like that one bit. But it was the idea that he had like a one night fling. I remember this part, like it like a Woodstock type of event. Maybe it was at Woodstock.
Perhaps.
And Jamie Kennedy was like, "Look, I am, the son of a right-wing dad and a hippy dippy socialist mother." It was kind of like, I just think that, American politics were just so divisive. And I like to see Jamie Kennedy as that representative of reaching across the aisle
Of course.
sexually
Sexually.
to create Jamie Kennedy in Tremors 5 or 6, whichever one that one is.
Went from talking about Tremors to Tremors 5.
I know. I just love Jamie Kennedy. So Michael Gross, good for him. Watching this one and then also watching like whatever that one was, 5, 6, whichever.
Number 5.
Um, Michael Gross is pretty reserved in this movie comparatively. Um,
Yeah.
Maybe not as reserved as his wife, Heather, played by Reba McEntire.
hmm
How awesome is this that she is in this movie?
She's so good too. They play off of each other really well. Bert and Heather are my favorite characters. I love them.
Yeah, I was watching this with my wife and kind of pointing to them and being like, this is the childless couple we should strive to be. Because they just full look, I just love.
They're like survivalist. Is that what that's called?
Yeah, so a
Okay.
prepper or a survivalist, like I've heard them called preppers. Preppers are usually dudes in vests and sunglasses who usually have things to say in their trucks or in front of their, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
bomb shelters or what have you. Um, and normally it's like what the question's like, what are you preparing for? Like what
hmm
what what are you so
Anything.
scared
They're
of?
prepared for anything and everything. Isn't that the point?
I mean, I guess. I mean, usually it's this idea. Usually, if you even just kind of dig even a little deeper into it, as usually something to do with some plot, probably orchestrated by Soros and the Clintons, that something about socialists drinking baby's blood and, World War III and, support our troops, but also let's be armed to the teeth in case they try to take
Yeah.
my freedoms away kind of situation.
Yeah.
Um, and you know what? I am only saying that, I'm sorry, because I want to acknowledge that maybe I'm painting preppers with too broad a brush, right?
Maybe.
Because here I am watching this movie, and I'm like, you know what? There is a
They were,
non-0% chance that some gnarly ass fucking worm creatures are just gonna come swimming up through the fucking ground. And guess who fucking has it handled? Like
yeah.
fucking handled are the
Yeah.
gunners.
They're fucking ready for anything. They're
Yeah.
absolutely ready for anything.
We've got
Yeah.
our wall of guns. We've got our little,
So
yeah,
many
whole,
guns.
yeah, just fucking went into the wrong rec room. What? That's a rec room? That's just a wall of guns. Like, I didn't, if I'm thinking if it's a rec room, I need to see at least like maybe some TV in the corner, maybe like some sort of like a workout equipment, even a couple
That's their
weights.
recreation. Their recreation is guns.
Yeah. I don't know. I would have liked to see at least like a couple, like just like hand weights,
Mhm.
something, right?
But that's what I like about Bert and Heather. While they seem like an exaggerated version of what that type of person would be, they're not. That's just what they are. And it's so fun. And they're hilarious when they're like taking their sweet ass time, like picking out guns and deciding which ones in like a life or death crisis. Like I love it. It's so perfect.
Yeah, I like that they're so focused with like filling bags of guns that like they don't bring like things like water.
Yeah. Yeah, no
You
food.
know, eh, don't worry about it. But to be fair, like I said, just and then to kind of paraphrase Earl or Val, I forget. They're like, we're not going to make fun of their way of living anymore because fuck, did they
Hmm.
come through pretty clutch.
Yeah.
I love Michael Gross in this movie. I love Reba McEntire in this.
Hmm.
Um, you've got Victor Wong,
Hmm.
who outside of this, like I said, if I see somebody that I recognize in two movies or more, like when I'm a child, that dude just becomes like a fucking movie star. Like,
Oh
and
yeah,
this
for
dude,
sure.
between this and the Three Ninjas movies, which I could not tell you how many times I watched Three Ninjas as a kid.
Really?
Oh yeah.
I was always watching like Karate Kid, I think instead.
Karate Kid is absolutely a better movie than Three
Yeah.
Ninjas.
Three Ninjas is
Hmm.
fun though.
So Victor Wong plays Walter, who is the market owner. Also, low key, bit of a child industry legend. You've got Ariana Richards,
Hmm.
um, who's in this, and then a couple years later ends up in Jurassic Park as well. So
The big
she's really
deal.
good at just screaming and running away from animatronic monsters. So
Yeah. And
good
she
for
comes
her.
back in Tremors 3.
And doesn't she show up in like a couple random Jurassic Park or World movies too?
No, she's only in The Lost World.
So I know I've said I've seen this movie 1,000 times. I'm assuming you've seen this movie 1,000 times as well. Maybe just share some of your initial experiences just kind of growing up and watching this movie.
I have also seen this movie 1,000 times. I watched this a ton as a kid. Creature features were always comforting because they like got you like a little bit scared, but I wasn't expecting a graboid to like show up in my yard. Like I was like, I think I'm good here in Jersey. It's a little bit greener than perfection. But having watched it so many times as a kid, I didn't revisit it again until maybe like 5 years ago. And this was one of my like gateway horror movies to introduce my son to horror. So we like started with all creature features and was like, oh, we're going to dive into Tremors. And he was obsessed. So that's how I ended up watching all of the Tremors movies, which I really hadn't planned on doing. They all have fun parts to them. So I think they all have like good, fun humor. But I love this movie. I also agree that this is like you could always just put it on and enjoy it.
I agree with you when you say it's like it's a gateway horror movie in a lot of ways. Even these couple recent watches, I'm like, this movie could be geared towards children a little bit too, you know? And
Absolutely.
and watching this movie, I'm like, this is very much a kids movie in so many ways. And one thing I had read about is that this movie used to be rated R.
Hmm.
And they cut like maybe 20 uses of the word fuck, whether it was,
Hence
you know,
Mother Humper.
yeah, mother humper. Yeah. Two, I repeat, two mother humpers left to go.
Yeah.
That so taking away all of the, you don't need all of the fucks, right? And then I don't think the movie outside of Rhonda's pants coming off for a
Hmm.
brief moment, like I don't think, any characters are overly sexualized in this movie.
Mm-mm.
Um, and coupled with like a lot of just at the time, just like this really kind of, I love it, but and tacky, corny music that's played
Oh, it's
throughout,
so fun. I love the music in this.
and just the kind of hey dude vibe of the whole thing.
Yeah.
And essentially the movie being an hour and a half game of Floor's Lava, you know. Um
Yeah.
I would play a version of this as a kid, but I'd be avoiding Tremors, right? So like that's why
That's
you wouldn't, or
cute.
graboids, right? You call them I mean, they only call them graboids once in this movie, and
Hmm.
later on they do, but I keep calling them Tremors.
Yeah,
But
they never refer to them as Tremors in the movies.
so I feel like this movie has such a youthful kind of energy to it, and I think it plays really well
Hmm.
as a entry point for children to watch horror movies, because it also has, don't get me wrong, I think some like affecting kind of scary scenes, but a lot of it's more just kind of gross, and kids love gross.
Hmm.
Ooh,
Yeah.
all the just goo and orange chunks that just fly around in this movie,
Yeah, it's great.
and also some fucking kick-ass practical effects.
Really good
I
practical effects.
love the way these things look.
This is the only one that doesn't. No, the second one doesn't have CGI, I don't think. So the first two don't have CGI, and then they all after that do.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
But like watching this movie, like you can see how bad they smell. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
oh, it just like looks fucking gross.
I don't even know what I imagine them to smell like whenever they say that they stink. Like, I can't imagine what the stink would be. Maybe
But I wouldn't like it.
like summer trash. That's the only stink that I could think of. But I what I think is so funny, this is just a general criticism of like movie ratings is, taking out the word fuck so many times and saying something like mother humper. I wouldn't be happy with my child getting in trouble for saying mother humper or motherfucker at school, but more so, they can watch people get eaten left and right. Like,
Oh yeah.
totally fine for them to watch people get eaten. Like, profanity is never one of the things that I'm like, ooh, watch out for that. Like, it's all thematic for me. So, like, it could have cursing, it could have nudity, it could have violence, but if it's a scary theme, like if like it would be a good example, like I won't let my son watch that because it gave me fucking nightmares for the longest time. So Tremors, like he can't relate to this situation at all. We don't live in a place like that. There's one little girl. Why did you make that face?
I was like kind of the fuck you don't. It was filmed in Southern California.
Okay,
Um
but
you don't have to
like
go that far outside of your neighborhood.
true, but they're not coming to my house. They're not popping out of his closet like that. It doesn't give him like that thought process, or it wouldn't until you tell him like actually this was filmed in Southern California.
You can find sharks. It's like equidistant. Like if you from where you at, you can just go to the coast. I don't know. Like I said, you've seen the others. Like I didn't think that they were confined only to desert areas.
Well, I mean, they're not. We find out later.
Just as already as an anxious child, um, being like, okay, I can't sleep because of Freddy. I'm not gonna
No,
go. Yeah, I'm not gonna go into the fucking woods because of Jason. Oh, nor am I gonna go into any lakes because of Jason. Can't go into any oceans. I've seen Jaws. I'm not gonna fucking do that shit.
can't go into the
Um,
bathroom because of fucking Candyman.
yeah, no kid. I cannot look at my reflection. And don't want to go to fucking space because of Alien. And I'm like, there is no safe place for me to be. I can't even just stand on solid fucking ground and without a tree in sight with full visual of everything. Because you know what? No, because graboids are going to come up off the fucking ground and eat you
Uh-huh.
anyway.
Fast as fuck.
I liked this because it was like the last bastion of safety is just solid ground. But nope,
Truly.
absolutely not.
Truly.
Um, so I always appreciated that. And I was like, hey, look, one more thing to be anxious about as a child, to not even trust the ground I'm standing on.
Hmm.
Yeah. Geez. Yeah,
Yeah.
whenever I'm out like in a desert area, I'm just thinking fucking graboid country, you know?
You know where it looks like this? My grandma used to take us camping in Borrego Springs, which is still Southern California, but it's like all desert. And the
Mhm.
first thing I thought when we like got out of the car, I was like, this is where the graboids live. Like they're here. They've been waiting for us. They're
Yeah,
starving.
100%. How old are these things supposed to be? Like, I mean, yeah, sure, Rhonda makes like a couple educated guesses, and it says like, oh, maybe 1 billion years old. I don't know. And I'm like, first of all, you're not a zoologist, you're a seismologist.
She said they predate the fossil records, and she felt very confident. Like she's obviously looked through them enough because she felt confident enough to say, like, I know there's nothing like this in the fossil records.
You know, I used to be a grad student too, and she was just
Maybe
very
it's her.
excited to get ahead of it.
I mean, what she's a seismologist.
Hmm.
So, I'm not a seismologist, just so everyone knows. Maybe that's part of being a seismologist is you have to learn about the fossil record and you have to look through all that shit. You don't know, just to make sure. You don't know what the fuck you're gonna encounter underground. And look, it served its purpose.
That's fair. Oh my gosh. You want to hop into this movie?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. One thing I really love about this movie is the bedrock, right? The solid is I'll use this metaphor, the solid, impenetrable rock foundation. Graboids can't even get to. Is there a relationship between our two main leads, Val and Earl? Oh my God. I love the two of them
I
and
love
this
them so much.
whole vibe. Now, I think in some ways it can be read as a romantic relationship
I
between
knew
the
it.
two. I love it because I mean, look,
Why can't they just be best pals? I feel that too, but
yes,
they could just be best pals.
I think so too, and that's kind of where I was gonna take this, but they squabble like a couple. Like it's
Yes.
always who did the dishes, who's the one that made
Hmm.
breakfast last. You
Hmm.
know, they're watching each other, as they're sleeping. They're lighting each other's cigarettes. It's very sweet. And then you've got this weird kind of like somewhat romantic, also somewhat paternal relationship between the two.
Hmm.
You have Earl, has a whole lot of fucking thoughts on the women that Val dates.
That's true.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay, sure.
Hmm. And spoiler alert, he's still a bachelor in the second one, like living by himself, all sad that he got abandoned by Val. So,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. I will have to revisit those. Because that's the only other one Fred Ward's in, right? Is the second one.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I think it's worth watching. It's fun.
But then also, you beat me to it a little bit, but I think also, again, watching this movie as a child, I'm like, I want that relationship that those two have because that is the relationship, like the way they talk to each other, like that's the relationship I would have with my best buddy at the time. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, I could see us just being pals and just going on adventures. They don't go anywhere without the other. All of their
Yeah.
jobs they do together, they live
Hmm.
together. When they're like, hey, we need to get to Bixby, hey, we're packing up and we're going together. It was never a question whether
No.
one person was going to go and the other wasn't. And I just love that bond between the two.
Uh-huh.
And I do think, yes, it is easy to kind of, see that as maybe like a queer reading, which there's some evidence there, definitely. But
Hmm.
I think also just like platonic best pals that can be life partners. I love that. And I feel like that's not as culturally allowed for men the way it is. You don't have your Golden Girls kind of situation, you
That's
know.
true.
But I love the two of them together.
I love how much you are digging into this because my first note for this movie is Earl and Val are the world's cutest friends.
Love it. They're so
They
cute together.
are. They're so cute together. And okay, I agree. I see like a little bit of the romantic feel in it, but I also kind of feel like maybe they recognize that they're like so reliant on each other that they're like that's why they need to like get out of perfection and like move on to bigger things. But I love that there's just all these little obstacles that keep popping up, like keeping them like where they are. And they're like, God damn it, we should have just left a day earlier. But they are doing everything together. It's so great. I love that they do rock, paper, scissors for everything. I
Hmm.
love that like one had the lighter and one had the cigarettes. They like they can't do it without each other. They can't. So I think their friendship is so good. I'm sad that you only get one movie of their friendship, but it's just enough to show you how fun they are.
I love it.
Hmm.
Um, so they are talking about so they do odd jobs around town,
Hmm.
which honestly just sounds like a nice profession too. Like just,
For a
something new
small
every
town like
day.
that, yeah,
Yeah.
why
You're
not?
just your
Isn't the population like 15 people and they're all
yeah.
in the movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
population's a
the
little
cast.
smaller now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Walt. Sorry, Nestor. Sorry, some
Oh.
some of the few. But we do have a new member in town, a new grad student that Val is very excited about. And I think even then, the way he talks about her, right? You know, when he's like, as soon as when he, you know, remembers that it's a woman this time.
Uh-huh.
And I forget exactly what he says, but he's like, you know, the legs that go
Do you want
all
me
the
to
way
tell
up.
you?
I'm sure you wrote it down. Please.
Uh-huh. It's she needs to have world-class breasts, an ass that won't quit, and legs that go all the way up. And I don't think that Rhonda doesn't have these things. She's just not dressed. She's dressed very 90s.
And then like the sunscreen on her nose, like they try to
Uh-huh.
really paint her as like a,
That
you
hat.
know, early early Drew Barrymore and Never Been Kissed situation, or early, first half of I'm sorry, what's She's All That,
Yeah.
with Rachel Lee Cook,
Hmm.
um, she got paint on her overalls and shit.
Yeah. Yeah, like she's a very attractive woman. They just have her in a dorky I'm in the desert studying science outfit, and she's got that cute little hat on, the white sunscreen. Like it's very silly, but I love how disappointed Val looked when they see her. His look of disappointment is so good. And then Earl, on top of that, seems almost like pleased that this woman, God, now I'm reading it this way. He seems like pleased that that's not the woman of his dreams.
Because he seems to think he knows what's right for Val.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I guess he's not wrong necessarily in this case,
Yeah.
because, I mean, they do end up together, but hey, trauma
Yeah,
bonding can really do a lot,
he plays matchmaker a little bit.
a little bit. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, he's a little bit of a creep too.
Hmm.
But
Yeah. I mean, like they're like, how often do new women come to town? They're like, what? A woman?
well, and that's the thing too. It's like, yeah, I think you definitely read Val being very like come on, man, like very like shallow and
Hmm.
whatever.
Hmm.
But I also kind of read it as they see so few women in this area
It's like,
that
this is
like,
what women look like.
yeah, they like gawk at her in like a way that like she's this like foreign object to them,
Hmm. Hmm.
So like I don't even buy like an attraction to her per
Yeah.
se, because they're just so invested in each other, of course. I don't know, but so we're introduced to Rhonda Lebec,
Hmm.
our grad student seismologist, who's a good thing she knows the fossil records, I
Hmm.
suppose. Um, she's saying like, "Hey, I've been finding some weird little earthquakes. Y'all know anything about seismology? They're like, we can't help you out. We have no
Yeah.
idea what we're talking about.
Hmm.
Um, they take off, so we're introduced to her. They're back at the market, and now we're at the town of perfection. That like you said, probably has a like we saw the whole population.
Oh, I
It's
wrote down the
mostly
population. It's 14 people.
okay.
Yeah, it says it on the sign, but somehow it's still more lively and hustle bustle than the hospital in Scream.
Yeah, no kidding. And then here we're introduced to Bert and Heather, as well as Walter, played by Victor Wong, who runs the market,
Mhm. The only market.
the only market. Well, hey,
He's got
that's
to be
pretty
the
good.
richest person in town.
Yeah, because he's got the market. Then it's also the bar, and it's
Yeah.
also a restaurant,
Yeah.
and it's the post office too.
Oh, yeah, it's the post office. I don't know if he makes any money for that though.
Hmm. I mean, I don't know. He probably sells stamps.
Like rent the space to them, maybe? How do you become the post office? Does anyone
How do
know?
you, how do you become a post office? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you just have to kind of just declare it and sh send an
Just paint it
application. I don't know.
on your building.
I think you can. Um, Also that shitty teenager. I always forget his name.
Ugh.
He's an asshole.
And he's the older brother in the Wonder Years, so we already hate him for a different reason.
Okay, was it him? Okay, I
Hmm.
wasn't sure. But I knew that I recognized him from somewhere. He also pops up in a lot of things, and I feel like he's always like the shitty teenager, shitty older
He
brother.
has that look,
Yeah, he
honestly.
does.
Like he has the look.
Yeah, it's funny when you're casting for a child actor, and you're like, I want I want a child who has a face I want to punch.
And they're like, oh, we know just the guy.
We know just the guy. And then just imagine what that means to, or just the effect that has on a child. Where
Yeah,
it's like,
really.
oh, you're the guy. You look like a kid we fucking hate. You look like a kid we'd want to beat up. And he's like, yep, that's me. That's the guy. Melvin is the name of this kid.
Maybe that's not the same actor. I swear it's him.
I don't think so either, but that's okay.
Maybe
I
this
don't
was
think
his
it is.
only movie. Yeah, maybe
Mm,
it's not him. Because now I'm looking at a picture of the kid from the Wonder Years, and I'm like, they don't look like the same kid.
he allegedly shows up in Tremors 3.
That makes sense because
Yeah.
it's in Back to Perfection.
Does that have a double entendre? Is that double meaning there?
I just said that, but I don't actually. Yeah, it is called Back to Perfection. Why I remember the names to all of them. Oh my gosh. I'm an expert at this franchise. Who knew?
I did. That's why I
You
mentioned it
knew.
earlier.
I know. I was like, no, I'm not. And here I am just correcting everything.
And then the rest of the town, I'd mentioned like Nestor, who like I thought was Melvin's dad.
Yeah, he
He
must
is.
be. Yeah, Melvin's pretty sad when Nestor dies.
Yeah. I mean, it's a pretty brutal one. But
Hmm.
then you've got the pottery artist and her daughter, and then Miguel.
And then just Miguel on his own.
I love Miguel. I think in any other movie like this, Miguel definitely would not have survived to the
I
end.
know. Yeah, I'm happy for him.
It's usually I like a higher body count in movies like this, but because a lot of the death happens pretty early on. I think like the last
Hmm.
major death is really Nestor.
Yeah.
Um, and then that's it. And there's quite a lot of movie after that.
They do a good job of keeping the characters in highly dangerous situations. So you feel that even though there's not as much kills.
So, we've got the boys going on their day, right? Doing some trash duty, um, and doing some poop duty. Ugh,
Oh yeah. Ugh,
that's
I did
rough.
not like that at all. Just spraying all over. Ugh.
Just it was like black. Ugh.
Yeah. Yeah, because
Huh,
it's been like sitting in there. It's like sludge at that point.
I guess so. How often do they do that? And also, I'm just like, and that kid fucking laughing. What an asshole. I'm like,
Asshole.
kid, what the fuck are you eating? First of all,
They honestly probably do it often because all of those houses need septic tanks.
yeah.
Like they have to like put those types of septic tanks. My grandma, when we moved to California, bought
Uh-huh.
land in a place that is like perfection. And she had to like put a house on a piece of land and then buy a whole ass septic tank. And instead of it being above ground, though, it's like right underneath the ground. But if that thing like busts, that's exactly what it is. It's black poopy sludge. It's gross. And it has busted before. And the smell, it's indescribable in the worst way. So it's real. It's real.
Who needs a research team when we have you
This has been like my smartest episode yet.
with all your septic plumbing knowledge?
Yes,
Thank
I know
you.
all the things.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Like after being covered with sludge like that. I mean, I would just wonder what their savings looks like. I mean, well, they don't have any savings, right? Because
No,
I did
they
the math. They had $3 to start the movie. I don't know if they got
no,
paid the fifty
no. They
dollars.
said, okay, this is their math. He says she's gonna pay us $50, which is
For
oh wait,
trash.
okay. He says which is $47 more. Okay, so they had $3. Okay, I got it.
Right after you said this is your smartest episode. All right, let's do some simple arithmetic here. That's
Math
okay.
is not my best subject.
That's okay. It's plumbing and graboid knowledge, which is still
Plumbing. Yeah,
very
there you go.
valuable, still very valuable in
Yes,
this
imaginary creature
movie.
anatomy is very important.
100%. But yeah, I do like how they're like, what, fuck it. Fuck this fucking town. Fuck this whole
Yeah,
situation.
we're
Let's
out.
get out of here. But gosh, they're never going to be allowed to, at least to the very end of this movie. Because first they find their poor old boy Edgar.
I know. Poor Ed. like the saddest death, even though you don't get to see it. Up there for because he said it would take like 4 days, like 2 to 4 days to dehydrate and die.
Yeah.
Maybe sooner for him since he was drunk. Like they're assuming like he was the town drunk. So then maybe he was already dehydrated.
Yeah.
But the idea of like being stuck up there and just starving to death that you're so afraid, fuck that shit. Absolutely not.
Yeah, and that's why it's like, what's the point of living as far away from a lake or ocean as you can when you're still, I don't know, like
They're
fuck,
like
man.
land sharks, really.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which wasn't that the name? I think that might have been one of the original names of this movie. It was Land Sharks.
I think so.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So they pull him down, which I don't know. I guess I don't know how they didn't show afterwards like how you do that. I mean,
Mm-mm.
if he's already dead, I'd be like, yeah, I guess just push.
Throw him in the truck bed.
Yeah, just be
Val
like,
just
push him over.
whoop.
Yeah. I don't know how he was going to get him down originally if he was alive. I'm like, if he was drunk and passed out,
I mean, he could like like kind of spot him like coming down the tower, right?
I'd fuck that up so quickly. I'd drop Edgar. He wouldn't have made it too far anyway. I would have just dropped him right on his neck. That'd have been
Oh, poor
terrible.
Edgar.
Poor Edgar. He never had a chance at this life. But he was an older guy, so at least he lived hopefully kind of a
Yeah, he lived a
fullish
full
life.
life. Yeah, getting
Yeah.
drunk, doing his thing.
Yeah, there you go. So they take him to the doctor who lives outside of town, with his wife as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, dehydration. He's like, yeah, no, yeah, fuck, just being out there. Even though I guess, you know what? I'm not gonna guess because I wasn't there with Edgar, so I don't know what his final moments looked like. But I would have at least, he had the gun, try to at least send off like a shot or a signal or something. But
That's true. Maybe they might have heard it.
maybe he wants to save his bullets. I don't know. I get it.
I mean, if you're willing to be up there and starve to death, like maybe shooting
Mm,
yourself is better. I don't know. Like, or trying to make a run for it. Like, one of those has to be better than just like fucking starving. That's such a slow, like, I don't know. I think I would try to make a run for it. I'd have to.
yeah. I don't want to be on record recommending suicide as an
No.
option. Uh, so
I mean, that's a pretty specific situation that no one would ever be in.
say that to poor fucking Edgar. Fuck. I'm sure that's what he was thinking
That is
in
a
his final moments.
hopeless situation.
Yeah.
Making a run for it is suicide as well. Like, he obviously knows how high the stakes are with these
Yeah.
graboids. He figured that shit
Um,
out fast.
these graboids are smart when the plot needs them to be,
Mm-hmm.
and when they're just being like just petty little fucks.
Yeah, they're petty as fuck. Absolutely.
But they're dumb when it comes to certain thickness concrete walls.
Mm.
But because when next the sheep farmer, I forget
Oof.
his name, he's
I
fucked.
don't remember his name either, but he's fucked. Him and his poor sheep, they're all gone.
Old Fred is his name.
Yeah. Oh, old Fred. Yeah, and he calls him old Fred. God, I hope that no one ever calls me old Nat. Like, fuck that shit. Don't describe me as old as my new name. What?
Once you start getting a little, older and ragged and foamy around the mouth and you start raising sheep, then maybe I might. And to which
So,
that's on you.
okay.
But yeah, like I love how like now they're like, we're gonna just leave his fucking face behind. And just
Just his
leave
face.
the little hat just sitting right on top, just for someone to find him.
Now that's smart.
That'll give him a fun little scare.
Uh-huh.
I was thinking like how well these tentacles can like place that setting, so right with the face right on top, just with the hat, right, blah blah blah. Like I'm thinking that like it probably circled around. The tentacles were like very just trying to kind of, it's like plating something on like Master Chef,
I thought of this the complete opposite way that I thought about it. So I was trying
uh-huh.
to think of the same situation. Like, how would this face just be placed perfectly on top of the dirt with the hat on top of it. And what I had concluded was that the graboid like grabbed him from his feet and was just like num 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 num, like Pac-Man style, like up his body, and then was just like, I don't want that face, and just left it. And then the hat just fell off his head. So it just ended up being what was on top because it was the last things. That's physics.
Is is that is that how Pac-Man does it? Just leaving the faces of his enemies
Well,
just with a look of fright.
that part's not the Pac-Man part.
Fucking no two bits about it. Fucking Val and Earl are probably definitely a little shocked at this
They're
point.
freaked the fuck out. They think there's a serial killer on the loose.
I love that. There's a crazy ass serial killer loose. He's leaving faces. He's leaving people's heads all over, cutting people's heads off.
I love it.
Because I like them because again, this other kind of like two pal situation. And I
Mm-hmm.
kind of dreamed up in my head. I was like, oh, well, I guess they're specific construction workers, but they are eating into Val and Earl's lifeblood with their business, right? So I liked the idea of them being like kind of like a rival pair of buddies, but they never explore that.
Well, I thought that they were like people maybe like from the state, like checking on something and they just don't live in town. So they
Yeah.
don't like seem to know who they are. Like they don't know them. I think they're like passing through, doing some work.
They did not listen to Val and Earl, which I mean, I don't know if I would
I think I'd be
either.
like, those guys are fucking with us. Like crazy locals. Get out of here.
I don't know. If someone, if I'm just going about my day and then someone fucking cruises by with the truck, peels through with his truck, being like, there is someone fucking, there's a crazy person fucking killing people. Let's get the fuck out of here. I would be like, hey, let's take
Let's
a
take a lunch
lunch.
break. Yeah.
Yeah.
That I
And
would
like,
do. I'd be reasonable. I'd be like, all right, let's take a lunch, see what's going on in the town,
yeah.
check the pulse a little bit.
Yeah. And because I'm doing research, I'm not clocking out for this lunch. This is a paid
Absolutely
lunch.
not. Yeah, it's a paid
Yeah,
lunch. Yeah.
absolutely. Uh, um, yeah, so they're like, we absolutely are getting the fuck out of here. But again, these smart ass little fucking critter worms block off the road. And or did they block off the road? I wasn't sure if they did it using like the avalanche of boulders that crushed one of the construction workers. Because at this point they killed the construction workers pretty
Mm-hmm.
quickly after they've been warned.
Absolutely. They didn't even get to
So
go to lunch.
no, they never got that lunch.
Yeah, I wonder too. I'm like, how intentional was that? Or was that just like a happy accident that they were killing those workers and they're like, oh, look, we blocked the road as well. That works out. I don't know that they're that smart to intentionally block the road.
It seems like, and again, like it's like I'm never entirely certain how smart these worms are, but
Mm-hmm.
sometimes they seem pretty smart. Like they're pretty clever. I mean, they certainly figure out like, oh, okay, like this is what a car is, and here's how you stop a car. Like this is what the
Mm-hmm.
wheels do, and
Yeah,
this a general idea of
that's true.
automobile physics. I don't know. So as they're pulling out, so they're like they're back in their truck. They're trying to fucking get the fuck out of there. The road's blocked off. They peel out. They go back to the market, and then they realize that one of the tentacles on one of these fucking things.
It looks so good.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's again like with a lot of these creature features. Usually, it's like when you see the creatures, you're like, oh, it's like why they don't show Jaws that much until the end because
Mm-hmm,
shark
mm-hmm.
looks kind of silly, whereas these things look fucking great
Yeah.
the
And
whole fucking time.
they kind of fake you out too and make you think it's going to be a Jaws situation where you don't see it much because they do that little bit where Rhonda is picking up her stuff and like about to get into
Hmm.
her car and you see like the camera like moving forward like as if it's the graboid and it feels very reminiscent of Jaws, but I like that you actually see the graboid often and like fast, like and well. Like it's very well lit. Like the movies during the day, it looks so good.
You're right. And good call too. Like horror movies that take place during the day. They don't happen often.
Especially
Um,
in 1990, like that was a bold choice. There's only one kill, I think, at night.
Two, if for the doctor and his
Oh, the
wife.
doctor and his wife. Yeah. Like one
Yeah,
scene.
one scene, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is a very effective one.
Mm-hmm.
And really is it's our next major scene in this movie.
Hmm.
Um, of course, Val and Earl always being the capitalists negotiating with negotiating with Walter on how much to sell that little snake tentacle for.
Those fools. They should have asked for way more. Like I said, he's the wealthiest man in town. Come
Well,
on.
that's because he negotiates like
Yeah,
that,
being smart.
taking advantage of just kind of dim-witted but well-meaning, cute little cowboy men. You
Hmm.
know, I love it. We cut back to the doctor and the wife. This is when I think about this movie as a horror film. This is the scene I'll kind of point to because it
This is
does.
the scariest for sure.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh, first when he gets it, right? And he's like, just being pulled down, and just like he's screaming
Yeah.
and shit. He knows something's pulling him down. Fucking the blood's coming up. He goes, but man, I feel even worse for her when
Like
you run it.
he kind of deserved it. I don't even feel sorry for him because he should have listened to her. She was like, let's get in the car, let's get out of
Yeah.
here because where the fuck did the generator go? Like, I love the way they set that up. Like, the generator's just pulled into the ground. He's like, what the fuck? Like, I'd be out. Absolutely. Like, she was right. So, the doctor, I think his name's Jim, he deserved it. I don't think she did, but I feel like the whole point of this kill scene, I mean, also like to give like a little bit of terror and show how high the stakes are, is to like show how fucking strong they are because it pulls that car
Yeah.
underground, which I don't even understand how that would work, but I love the visual of the headlights like in the sand. That's very
Oh,
cool.
yeah. And then, that shot of them like kind of pointing up in the air.
Yes, and then disappearing. Oh, I
Yeah.
love it. Yeah, that's
So
really
good.
good.
This movie has a lot of really cool cuts to like wide shots.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's like showing that, or if it's just showing like just the frankly, the beautiful scenery of this movie.
Yeah.
These like wide shots of like either like them like on the horses or like driving through
Mm-hmm.
or, pogo pole vaulting, from rock to rock,
Mm-hmm.
And also I think just to show how vast and empty and alone they are. So it's like it's almost as if the equivalent of like someone lost at sea,
Mm-hmm.
where there's nothing for miles. So Jesus.
Yeah, it's
Just
scary.
I'm gonna add the desert to something I don't want to fuck with. I'm good. No, thank you.
I never wanted to fuck with the desert. Mm-mm.
So our main team's back at the market now. They're trying to formulate a plan. This is, I think, where they come up with taking the horses out, which you just
I
as soon
know.
as I was like, those horses, y'all are just gonna be click clacking, way too much noise. This is never gonna work out for the
Well,
horses.
they
And
don't, at this point, they don't know that it's noise, right? And like
right.
vibrations. They're okay. So, like the horses, yeah, we knew it wasn't going to go well for them. You know what, though? If you
Mhm.
look at the like wide shots of them on the horses, I think that's actually the actors riding the horses.
Maybe.
There's like a part where they're kind of like having a little bit of conversation and they're like turned towards the camera. And I was like, I think that's actually Kevin Bacon. Like it really looks like them on the horses and Fred Ward. So
Kevin Bacon, if you're listening right now, if you could please hit us up and let us know about your horse riding skills, or
yeah,
if you learned them on the set of Tremors. I don't know.
yeah, let us know.
He looks like a guy who's good on a horse.
I think he has a farm now.
Probably him and
Yeah.
Kira
Mm-hmm.
Sedgwick. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Good for them.
Very cute.
So, yeah, almost as cute as him and Fred Ward.
Almost.
Almost. So, this is when you get your first look at one of these motherfuckers because you get your
Mm-hmm.
first extended graboid attack, at least a graboid attack in which someone survives.
Mm-hmm.
Because no, at least, sorry, the horses don't. But
Mm-mm. And you don't see the whole graboid when the horses are being attacked, right? It's just its little snake tongues.
yeah, little
Yeah.
snake tentacle situations.
Mm-hmm.
And then they outrun this thing, jump or will barely outrun this thing, at least just in time, hop into that. What do you call that?
I don't know what that is. Is it like for water?
Yeah, I think
Like a
so.
drainage like type of thing?
Kind of, yeah. I know there's a name for it.
Yeah.
I just so, but it's beside the point. Basically,
You all know
and
what we're talking about.
though enough concrete for that thing to just run right into it, which I'm like,
Hmm.
how far does that thing go? Are they always aware of that? How did they not run into that and die? But
Well, if it was chasing them like in the hunt and it's just following their sound full speed, maybe it just didn't have a chance to stop. It
I
didn't
guess
even
so.
like have a chance to think about it. Because if it had encountered that before, but it was like slow-mo, just kind of wiggling around like a little, I was gonna say caterpillar, but they don't go underground. But just like moving at regular pace, then it would feel around more.
I guess so.
I just figured it was
It's
full charge hunting, so it just splat.
it's yeah, thought with its stomach rather than its worm brain kind of situation.
Exactly. Hmm.
Yeah. Good thing Rhonda's around. She pokes her head out. She's like, "Hey, what the fuck are
What
you
you,
all doing?" And they see
what you up
you get your
to?
yeah, you get your first look at one of these things. Um, and then you realize that that thing is a tentacle, part of a much longer situation.
Hmm.
Yeah, these like fun little slug things. I like they're kind of fat, they're
Yeah.
kind of chunky,
There- Yeah.
you know. I like it. And they're just so like uh viscous,
Yeah. Well,
right? Is that the
that's
word?
why I said caterpillar because they look like they would be like soft and squishy. Like they're like little underground caterpillars.
Yeah, just very sticky and gooey on the inside.
Hmm.
Um, and I just love Kevin Bacon's reaction. Fuck
Fuck.
you.
Yeah, I love it.
And he just laughs to himself.
Yeah, he's so happy.
That's how I would react. I'd be like, fuck you. That's what you fucking get. Stop trying to chase me. I
And
love
also,
it.
like, am I going to get rich off of your corpse? Because that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's a scientific discovery too. I know. I'm like, if you make a scientific discovery, do you actually like, is there money involved in that? Or science is just like, thank you. We appreciate it.
Yeah, I think just science just comes in and says, no, thank you.
Takes
We
over.
appreciate your service. I don't think they'll even like name it after you.
I wouldn't think so.
Like who in Walter's family is getting paid? Because he comes up with the name Graboid and they
Hmm.
use the name later on, right? But I don't
Hmm.
know if they mentioned in the movie that Walter credited, or Walter coined that and he should be
They
getting.
do mention it in the second one, and his granddaughter is the one who owns the shop.
Oh, then
Or
okay.
in the
See,
third
who did
one. Sorry, in the third one. She's a character. Yeah.
Oh. Oh well, I love that. Hopefully
Hmm.
she makes it out okay too. I'm not gonna watch it. I'm I might. We'll see. Um Now also good thing Rhonda's there because she's like, hey, I'm a seismologist, by the way, and I'm seeing this shit come from all the corners. So there's at
Hmm.
least three more of these fuckers.
That
That's
sucks.
it. Yeah.
I feel like, are you fucking kidding me? You just burst in here with bad news.
I like how she continues to try to explain like why she thinks there's three more, and they just kind of cut her off. They're like, "Nah, we believe you."
Yeah, they're like, you don't have to elaborate further. I just love that they're just cute and dumb.
They make their way to the rocks, because they're like, "All right, well, our horses, our main more mode of transportation, they're gone, unfortunately,
Hmm.
and there's another one coming for them." So they make
Hmm.
it out to the rocks. Rhonda's truck is on the other side of those rocks. They end up being stranded for a little bit and find themselves kind of a similar situation that poor Edgar was in.
At least not alone though.
At least not alone. I
Yeah.
know.
Like
So
if you have someone to eat just in case.
they end up having to be there overnight. Desert gets really cold at night. So, you know,
Real
Val's like,
cold.
hey, we're alone here on this rock. There's at least one woman. It's a now once I'm stranded on this rock, she's a viable candidate. I like that that's what it takes
And it's a
is
near-death experience as well.
yeah. He's like, well, I'm stranded on this rock for who knows how long. I think I do want to I think I want you to be my girlfriend now. Um lets her borrow the jacket, which I'm like, it's a jean jacket, so I don't know how much
Oof, that's
warmer
not
that's
keeping you
really.
warm at all. There's a reason why he was wearing a jean jacket in the first place. It's
Yeah.
hot as fuck during the day.
But I'm like, hey Val, shoot your shot. You're here,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Just be cute. And of
She
course, like,
smiles. She's into it.
and then Earl just creeping behind. He's like, yep, yep, just like I planned. He's been awake
fucking
smoking his cigarettes.
fucking Cupid over there.
Yeah, yeah. And then again, you got this great I love the pole vaulting scene and the music behind it. It's again,
Me too. I was like, is it that easy to just pick up pole vaulting? Like I couldn't. I don't think I think I would die on that rock.
oh yeah, I'd say no thank you. I'll die on this rock, please.
Yeah,
You
I
go
would
find
not know
help.
how.
I will be here. And then also if something as simple as like, throwing something on the ground will attract one of those things. Like if you're pole vaulting, it
Why
just
doesn't it
like
just like
yeah,
a stick like just pull the whole stick?
it can do that with a child on a pogo stick on a
Yeah.
road,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I don't know. So, but you know what? Like I said, it's
We'll
fun.
give it to him.
And like I said, I just love that music. And like that music, like
Mm.
I'm not gonna hum it, but it is this very kind of
Right.
cowboyish, yeehaw kind of synthesizer
Upbeat,
situation.
feeling optimistic.
I feel like I just like hum that song to myself just when a plan comes together, you know?
I hope you really do.
And then again, you got that wide shot. You just see like all three of them in unison doing it together. And
Yeah.
you're just like,
That's a cool shot with all three of them.
oh, I love it. And then also
Mm-hmm.
again, that with the music and everything, I'm like, again, yeah, sure, people are getting eaten. Yeah, sure. This is a horrifying situation. But let's not take anything too seriously here.
Yeah,
Let's there's always room for fun and
of
perfection.
course.
So
Yeah.
I really appreciate that. So they get to the truck, which I'm like, like literally the second they fall on the truck, the graboids are like, oh no, no, no. We're right here.
Yeah, we've been waiting for you.
Yeah, that's why they weren't bothering with the pogo. They're just like, I'll just wait till we get all three of them in the same spot.
Yeah.
But they are able to get out. I don't know how she's able to drive that way, but good for her.
I mean, I
Um,
think she just is pressing on the gas and just hoping the car goes in the right direction. I mean, there's
I
not
guess
much
so.
they could hit
I
in an
suppose
open
so.
desert.
Graboids
Yeah.
make it back to the market. They're like, okay, y'all, this is way fucking worse than we anticipated. And that little squid fucking little tentacle thing was part of a much larger thing. And there's also three more of these fucking
Oh,
things. You know,
that would be the worst news.
yeah, I'd be
The
so upset.
worst.
I'd be
Yeah,
like,
like, are you fucking kidding me? You came in here saying that you killed one, and that's how you discovered that they're larger than we thought, and there's three more.
and you want me involved? And you come here to
Yeah.
my town? Like I'm thinking like if I'm like Walter, I'm like, and you come all the way to my market, dude? They're fucking following you.
Yeah, they're
The
following
fuck?
your fucking tires right as we speak.
I know. Jesus Christ. And Walter's got a point because boy, Walter gets it next. I like earlier in the movie they do set up a couple things of like all the things that are making noise. Like,
Mm-hmm.
they, reference the Pepsi machine from earlier.
Mm-hmm.
What's her face from Jurassic Park is pogoing around,
Yep.
just like all the little things, that end up, attracting graboids.
Yeah.
Um, Ooh, man, that's rough. I like watching Walter get it though, and him just getting
I know.
just waved around like, oh no.
It's pretty good because that graboid like pops out of the ground and
Yeah,
when it grabs him, I like that you see like his expression and the blood like dripping from his nose is really cool. Like you can tell that he's fucked at that point because of that machine. Didn't he say like when are you guys going to fix this Pepsi machine? If they would have fixed it sooner, Walter may have survived.
yeah, that's why you got to maintain your ship.
Mm-hmm.
And I think at this point, with all the chaos going on, like I think, you know, the mom and the pottery artist and the daughter, like they end up back in their trailer. I think fucking the dumb annoying kid is on top of the shack.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think it's at this point where Rhonda loses her pants.
It's yeah, around that point. The part of this that I take issue with is like we know there's monsters out there, yet we're still letting this little girl just play outside by herself, pogoing. Like who who approved that? Mom. What the fuck? Absolutely
Mm.
not. I'm like, I'm gonna burn that pogo stick if you're not going anywhere outside. Absolutely not.
With her headphones on, so she can't fucking hear shit either.
Yeah.
One thing is I wrote down the boy who cried graboid. This fucking teenager. He's he
Such an
sucks.
asshole. Ugh.
But and then he like but I do like there's something else that happens here where it shows how kind of like easily startled and scared Earl can get. Um, so like after
Yes.
they kill the first graboid and he like trips in that like prairie hole or
Uh-huh.
prairie dog hole,
He's like,
and then
goddamn prairie dogs.
yeah, and then when like he gets like the basketball thrown at him,
Uh-huh.
from the kid, you know, I like how just easily spooked he can get.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny.
It's very
Um,
fun.
as as much as he pretends to be as brave as Val is, I don't know if he's necessarily less brave than Val, but I think he is a little more hesitant. Maybe that's that
Yeah.
wisdom, right? But
They play that up a lot more in the second one. His
do
like
they?
his like cowardly courage, I guess you would call it, like where he's like cautious and kind of trepidatious about things and he's easily like shaken, but he pulls through
I
when he
love
needs
that.
to.
So, all right. So, yeah, Victor's dead. Whoops. Victor Wong's dead. Sorry,
Yeah,
buddy.
oh, poor Victor.
That's a bummer. So, but it looks like somebody does come and take over that shop for him. So that's good.
Eventually.
Rhonda, like I get, our female lead, there needed to be, they're like, look, we need to come up with some reason to get her out of her pants for at least a moment. We're not going to completely just sexualize her.
We have to show that she's a woman
Yeah.
somehow.
Later on when they're back at the market and you've got this, it's supposed to be this like cute moment with like Val treating like the cuts from like the barbed
Yeah.
wire like on her legs and stuff, and then it cuts to Earl, who's very pleased with himself, seeing again this romance building because
Yeah, yeah.
his focus is still on both. He's like, look, it can be both. We can be worried about the situation, and I like to see my boy
Matchmaking.
fall in love, but the look, it's just so creepy. Like it's supposed to be
It
him being
is.
pleased with himself, but the cut to him like smoking a cigarette, like looking at Rhonda with their pants off as she's like getting treated. Like it is so like again, I know this movie comes out 7 years prior, but it's just so like John Voight from Anaconda vibes, where he's just like this pleased, just like look he's just giving
Yeah.
her.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that. Um, they've got our survivors, at least so far, all kind of collected together.
Hmm.
And but then they're like, hey, we need to get a hold of fucking Bert and Heather, who are back at their place. Bert and Heather, they're back at their spot. Heather's pulling up her binoculars. She's like, oh, everyone's up on the roof. They're able to get to the radio, contact them, and be like, "Hey, these things are going through the fucking ground.
Hmm.
Get to the roof, do something."
Yeah.
Bert, the Gummers, they're not gonna go to the fucking roof. Get the
No,
fuck out of
they're
here.
like, we're in our fucking bomb shelter, our rec room. Like, we're living it up with guns, making it more ammunition for funsies.
I don't know what that thing is. That like sand bucket that like shakes bullets. I don't know what that is, but it makes a bunch of noise.
I used to know what those did, but not anymore.
But they lay waste to this thing. Like it just bursts through and is just kind of waving its fucking head around. Like again, I really think that these things don't think things through. And
Yeah, what was it gonna do? Like, what was its plan?
I think to eat them, I guess.
But like
But
because it stays, I'm assuming it stays in the wall because once it's like out of the dirt, it's not gonna effectively be able to move. Like almost like a fish out of water,
I guess so.
right? That's why like it only sticks so much of its body out of the sand before it retreats.
And for like a bomb shelter kind of situation, those walls must not be very thick because you see how
Mm-mm.
thick of a concrete wall you need to kill one of those things when it just comes head on and just
Mm-hmm.
dies.
No,
But it
that
was
was
able
like
to
one
burst
layer
right
of
through.
fucking bricks.
Yeah, and be just like fucking fine. Um, yeah, I just love just this wall of guns. They just keep going.
I love the sequence of them just repeatedly shooting and just switching guns. Like she goes from like a shotgun to like a semi-automatic rifle to like the two pistols in her hands. Like, what are the pistols going to do? They just wanted the opportunity to use every single gun that they could. And then
Yeah.
finally, Bert fucking cracks open that glass and takes out that, what is that, an elephant rifle? Is that what they're
Yeah.
called? Yeah. And he fucking blows that thing away. Well, Heather gets him with the flare. So I love their teamwork.
Oh yeah. It's a
And she's like,
very
magazine. And he like throws it to her real quick. They've trained for
a
this.
very loving egalitarian situation with
Yeah.
the both of them, which I
Yeah.
appreciate. Does it ever do the movies ever address what happens to Heather?
So terrible. So in the second movie, Earl and Bert are both in that movie. So when Bert shows up, he's like, how's Heather? And he's like, oh, she's staying with her sister, like implying that they're separated. So you don't see Reba or Heather again, which is sad
Mm,
because they're the best. Like, I'm like, couldn't we have just said she's like off doing her own thing? Like, why do they have to be divorced? But I think it's like what fuels Bert, like, to just keep engaging with these creatures, like him just being this lone wolf that hunts them.
that's healthy.
I know, poor Bert. I love him.
Yeah. So they kill the fuck out of the second one. So we got half of them dead. They communicate that over the radio. That's when Earl's like, "Hey, maybe we won't make as much fun about their lives." To
Yeah.
which that's when I changed, and I even wrote this down. I was like, "It's like, damn, fucking Bert, you did it." I would have come back and be like, "Huh? I guess you could say I was pretty prepared, huh?
Yeah.
Huh?
Well, that's one of those situations where you're like, why does anyone ever need guns? But then you're like, okay, if there was a zombie apocalypse or some fucking crazy shit happened, you'd be like, who's the craziest person I know that owns a bunch of guns? Like,
Yeah."
you would think of that person immediately. So, I mean, the odds that you would need that person are pretty fucking slim, but know who that person is in your life. Everyone has one or two.
Yeah, 100%.
Mhm.
I am not that person.
No, I'm not that person either. I could never. I'd be terrified to just have one gun in my home anywhere, like locked in a safe, like Gale Weather style. I couldn't even do.
If anybody wants to volunteer themselves to be the doomsday prepper that will protect Natalie and I,
Shoot us an email.
yeah, shoot us an email. We're taking open applications.
Yes.
Send us your YouTube prepper videos
Uh-huh.
for review, and we'll have you on.
Pod at
Yeah,
gmail.com.
yeah. It doesn't even say in the movie, just like, what's wrong with being prepared?
Yeah. Yeah. Because they're like, oh, you two are loving this. And they're like, what the fuck? Just because we're prepared doesn't mean we want people to get killed by giant worms. Like,
Yeah.
but if you had all those guns, like, I'm sure you would think it's a good time to hunt those things.
Yeah, they literally, if it wasn't literally three of those things would still be alive if it wasn't for Bert and Heather,
Mm-hmm.
because it was their weaponry that killed three of
For
them, if
sure.
not them doing it directly themselves. But
Absolutely.
so these things start getting really fucking mad now.
They're deconstructing buildings.
Well, they come up with their plan to use the tractor.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty good one. I don't know if this is before or after Nestor dies, but that's a bummer one.
After.
And I always think about him getting on top of that tire and getting just pulled down and eaten. Like that part was just imprinted into my brain as a child, that death in particular.
It reminds me of Piranha, the
Yeah.
girl, the contortionist girl who gets pulled into the, what do you call those, inner tubes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then now that fucking teenager's finally like, oh, you guys gotta do something.
Yeah. Now we're taking it seriously. Stupid
Yeah, you
fuck.
stupid fuck. But they're like, how are we gonna get out of here? Earl comes up with the plan for the tractor, which good. They fucking that's as good as plan as I was gonna ever come up with, is that tractor. But they need to get to it. This is a pretty fun scene too, where dude fucking Miguel coming up clutch. He sends off the ATV
Such
to
a good
distract them.
plan.
Yeah. And also to help save the pottery artist and the daughter, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so fucking Miguel also a hero of this movie.
Hmm.
I don't know if they mentioned, I think he shows up. I've read somewhere, I think he shows up in the Back to the Perfection as well, the
Yeah,
third one.
he's in
So
number three.
fucking good for him.
Yeah, I think they get everybody except for Reba.
And Kevin Bacon.
Well, yeah, obviously, but like everybody, like all the townspeople,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
That's
that aren't
cool.
dead. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And then again, Earl being, he's like just being fucking, brave papa is like, I'm gonna go and do this. But then they do their,
Hmm.
say Rochambeau. No, they do their rock, paper, scissors for it. Kevin Bacon goes, runs off. I did like
Because
this
Earl
scene.
was supposed to be the one who went,
Yeah.
but
Which
he like gives him like a little elbow to the gut and then jumps down anyway.
I don't know if
Pretty
Earl was gonna get
heroic.
there in time.
Yeah.
But it's not like Val was gonna get there in time either. They had to
I
save
mean,
his
he
ass too.
feels like he would be the faster runner.
Val? Yeah.
Yeah, he's younger, a little bit like slimmer, so maybe more aerodynamic.
Yeah.
I don't
I'd
know.
send you out. I'd be like, no, you go ahead, Natalie.
Go ahead, just push me right off the roof.
Yeah.
You
you
she's like a cat. She'll land on her feet.
you're like less than half my weight. You're like pitter patter wooden,
Like I'm fucking Chucky out there.
kind of. You just run like a little Chucky across, you know. Um, but I did like him standing there and then like the little tentacles coming out and trying to sniff for him. Rhonda, smart as hell. That's why she's a grad student, is like, hey, let's use some of this water, distract him that way.
Yeah.
Um, and maybe they were thirsty too. They're just,
Yeah, they don't really address that.
yeah, right. So I don't know where they would get their water from. I mean, I
I
guess,
mean, maybe humans are like strawberries, because we're like mostly water, so they get their hydration from their food.
yeah, that makes sense too.
Hmm.
They get to the tractor and then they're like, well, how the fuck are we gonna get everybody else? It's like, oh, we got that other thing. Wheels are fucking flat, but it doesn't matter. Tractor will pull anything. Why didn't we just
Yeah.
come up with the tractor from the very beginning? That seems
From
like
the
a really
beginning. Yeah.
good situation.
Yeah, they come with a lot of plans, like a lot of plans. This is a creative group. What is the plan once they get to the rocks? Because they said something about like going along the rocks until they reach the city.
Yeah, basically they have this idea that they can make it all to the rocks and then hike through the mountains to get to Bigsby from there.
Okay. Okay.
Which, and at this point, I'd be like, oh my God, I'm so delirious from all of this. I
Yeah,
can't be
fuck.
anywhere
I
safe.
any plan.
They get everybody onto this tractor and they make the smart move of like, hey, let's go get Bert and Heather because they're going to be very helpful here.
Hmm.
As weird as they can be, they're like, look, but
Yeah.
there's value here. Um, again, this is when they're throwing it like, even Kevin Bacon's like, holy shit, guys, what the fuck?
Yeah,
Even
he's like,
though,
we're going 9 miles.
which too, I'm like, okay, 9 miles may as well be fucking 900 when you're looking at these fucker things.
Absolutely.
So
And
I would have been like,
they were being so useful. They're literally making fucking dynamite up there out
yeah,
of like piping from the house, like on the roof. Like they're fucking getting down on this shit.
yeah.
No one else is prepared with weapons, so they're like, we've got to like pull our weight here. I thought that was great. Like when they were like passing down the bags, I'm like, you said this thing can hold a bunch of weight. Take all the guns. Absolutely.
So, like I said, a good plan. Now, granted, they didn't get that far because again, these graboids are sometimes smarter than
Hmm.
they lead on because they're able to create this trap. Just like they closed off the road, they created this trap that
Mm.
the tractor falls right in, and then next thing you
Yeah.
know, we're stranded on fucking rocks again.
Yeah.
Ah,
The whole group though. And Bert and Heather are fucking furious because they're like, we left our fucking stacked ass home to be on the rocks. Like they thought they had a way better plan and they're just so pissed.
yeah. But I mean, that's on them, right? Is like if you dedicate that much time to prepping or whatever, and you have this bomb shelter, doomsday shelter you don't leave it. Like that's why I'd be like, if I were Bert and them, would be like, no, you aren't getting shit. You all made it up here. Stay here with us.
But they had to because their enemy already had fucking broken through their one fucking cinder block wall. What were they going to do after that? It already broke into the foundation of the house. Like it was gonna get in there. It was gonna bust it up.
How? You got one clogging up the main way. If anything, like, and then another one bursts
Like
through.
right by the side of it. There's a whole wall.
Well, then apparently it can't get much farther. Like, be like, yeah, please come, burst through this one,
That's
and then
actually
just
true. If they just like waited it out, run that ammo shaking machine again, lure another one, pat pat pat. Just get they had enough ammo for it. That actually would have been a real effective plan.
yeah, or at
Yeah.
least a little bit of both. I'd be like, hey, how about we, instead of all of us going in one direction, making all the noise, we,
Hmm.
so look, but hey,
That's just what we would do.
I'm just an idea guy. So just trying to make it in perfection. So, but hey, as pissed as Bert was, they were like, hey, look, that's why we've got dynamite.
Hmm.
Let's go fishing for some fucking graboids.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. Again, I love when anything just results in just gooey orange chunks just flying at people.
Hmm.
It works out pretty well. I would have liked to see more exploding graboids and
Yeah.
just I wanted to see everyone like a fucking mess at the end of
Yeah,
this
just
movie, just
slime
covered
and
in.
shit all over them.
Yeah, that's what I would
Absolutely.
have preferred.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
So they kill our third one,
Hmm.
which is pretty smart, fishing with dynamite. Always a pretty good situation. I think you people fish with dynamite, right?
Isn't that illegal? I feel like we talked about this with piranha,
Yeah.
and I'm pretty sure it's illegal to do that anywhere. It
Hmm.
doesn't seem safe for anyone involved, especially the fish. But
No,
like,
it seems very disruptive.
yeah, like disruptive to like the ecosystem and the environment. And then if you wanted to like not give a shit about that, your own personal safety. Like,
Yeah.
don't fuck with dynamite. You're not a demolitions expert. And if you are, why are you using that skill to fish? Like, get out of that lake. What is that?
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Now, this last one has learned all the lessons of its brethren.
Is Stumpy the one that's the final one?
Did
They
they
call it
name it?
Stumpy. They name it Stumpy because they
Oh,
it lost like part of its they like cut off part of its little tongue
oh.
tentacle situation.
He recognizes what dynamite tastes like now. And he's like, no, thank you. And they're really good at spitting things out.
I
So
love
that,
that.
yeah, me too. They're like, oh, fuck.
Got a good throw.
Good range there.
Yeah, good range.
And again, they're stuck there. They're like, what the fuck were you going to do? We only have one stick of dynamite left, right?
Hmm.
But again, dude, just fucking with the plans. Dude, fucking Val's got this fucking taken care of. Don't even fucking worry about this. Um, I like again, like and as much as a dumb cowboy as he may be, like, hey, look, that's some smart physics, sure. Actually, I like to
Yeah.
say smart physics. I don't know if it exactly worked that way, but it's like I love the idea of, and again, just the beautiful shot, right, of this thing getting just propelled
Oh, so good. Yeah.
and just falling to its death. And then that's when you get your splattering all over
Oh,
the
it's
place.
so good. That smush. Oh, I love
Uh,
it.
if, like you just felt how just kind of sandy and thick and crusty the thing is, but
Hmm.
also just so, again, so just wet.
Like it
And
just has like kind of a harder, dry exterior, like an
yeah,
exoskeleton kind of situation. But then once you like smush it, it's just so gushy on the inside. Like there's no bones, nothing. It's just all mush.
no bones about it. Just
Mm-mm.
fucking, just gush, just chunky orange
Hmm.
gush.
And it
It's
looks great.
terrible. It does look great.
It almost looks like pumpkin guts.
Little pumpkin guts, a little
Hmm.
bit of like yeah, just like Nickelodeon slime kind of situation. I guess Gak was green, but sometimes it was orange.
It could be different colors, but green was their like the favorite color.
They dispatched this one like fairly kind of easily at
Yeah.
the end.
I mean, they've been through it. They have been through it.
And then I'm just like thinking like what a competent group. And way more survivors than I anticipated. But then also I'm like, no, good. Hey,
Yeah.
fucking Miguel, you were smart the whole time.
Hmm.
You did your part. Good for you. You survived. Hey, the kids, once you just learn to fucking listen. I like how he gives him
Well,
the gun with no bullets in it.
I was gonna say Bert gives him a gun, and every time I forget that there's no bullets. So I'm always just like, fuck, Bert. Like, why would you give that dumb dipshit, that stupid fuck kid, a gun? Like, when you know how dumb he is. And Bert, of course, is one step ahead of us.
Yeah. It's just he's prepared. He
He's
preps.
fucking prepared.
Yeah. So um good on them for being very confident that there's only four of these things.
I know. I'd be like, get that fucking machine back out, girl. Let's do some seismology.
Yeah, like let's figure out at least a way to call the next town over and be like, y'all are running into any worm quakes? Because
Yeah. Haven't seen any giant man-eating worms, have you?
or sheep eating at least. Are you losing any
Yeah.
sheep? Because
Yeah,
that can often be a
cattle.
precursor. Yeah,
Oh yeah, someone mentions that their cattle is missing too.
right.
Nestor, I think it was.
They always go for the animals first to like demonstrate the threat, and then
Yeah, you wonder if it's like a let's instill fear in them, or if it's just like, these seem like low-hanging fruit. Let's go for them first. Then we'll
right.
upgrade to the humans.
I feel like in a movie like this, it'd be so easy to put a dog and then have a scene with the dog gets eaten.
Hmm.
And I'm glad they didn't. I'm glad they had restraint there. Granted, you don't want to see horses get it either, or
Oh,
sheep.
horses dying is the worst.
Yeah, I know.
There's something about them. They're just so like peaceful and majestic. Like, and seeing them fall, ugh, I do not like seeing a horse fall. Any movies where horses fall, it makes me really sad.
Yeah, 100%. I did a summer where I worked at like a horse track,
Oh,
in Del Mar, and I'll never do it again.
oh God, that sounds terrible.
Yeah. Oh, no,
Yeah.
thank you.
Mm-mm. I'm a hard no for horse races.
Yeah, no
Mm-mm.
need.
We don't fuck around with that.
Yeah, but fuck, hey, hey, shit, we're kind of wrapped up. Like everyone's back at the
Hmm.
town, and it's like, all right, we're gonna figure out what's going next. Fucking Val, just always eyes on the prize. He's like, hey, um, we've trauma bonded. Can you be my girlfriend now? And she's like, okay, yes.
I like that he starts off just being obsessed with looks when it comes to a woman. And then at the end, he's like intimidated by her intelligence and abilities. He's like, I don't think this girl is gonna want to be with me. Like he's like, she's on another level. And Earl's like, fucking get your ass over there. He's all cleaned up. They look all nice, all cleaned up. You can tell they
Yeah, they
showered.
do.
They put on a fresh pair of Levi's, Wranglers, whatever they're wearing. And we got pretty far. Those jeans are tight. Love those jeans. I don't know who's running in those jeans. They
Yeah.
look great. They look great. So I would definitely make out with Kevin Bacon in that crisp shirt and those tight jeans. Absolutely. He could be dumb as a fucking rock. I don't care.
Well, and I think that'd be kind of the point. Like, he's like thinking, she wouldn't be with someone like me. It's like, have you ever read like a trash romance novel? This is like
You're the archetype.
if you take out the graboids, like it is the exact plot. You have this, mousy grad student
Uh-huh.
who is kind of a dork or whatever, and she, for some reason, is just on her grad school adventure in the desert, runs into a sexy cowboy, and then fucks that cowboy. I,
Yeah.
I I've seen him on the cover of these romance novels.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
so she's like 100%. That's the whole point. She's like, why do you think I'm out here? I mean,
Yeah.
yes, to be a
I came to
seismologist.
find my sexy cowboy. I became a seismologist and got a PhD just to find my sexy cowboy.
Now, I don't want to say that and
I feel like that's where you were
invalidate.
headed.
I think it's both. I think that it's part of the prize package of being a a science grad student is going out, doing your research, and finding a sexy cowboy also on the
You can
side.
have it all. You truly can have it all.
I know, look at her. She can certainly
Yeah.
have it. And so in
Hmm.
the end, she's like, look, we found a new species. I'm gonna be like already well super renowned now because she's already going to be
Oh,
writing
hell
research
yeah.
on this, right? And she's going to be the expert on it. And she gets some arm candy in a just a
Yeah.
dumb little cowboy.
She's like new dissertation topic.
Yeah.
We're here.
So good for her. I think she makes out the best in this.
Yeah, yeah, that's actually probably true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So yeah, plot wise, that pretty much wraps it up on Tremors.
Hmm.
Um, I, I no notes. I don't know.
I
I
have
don't think
no
there's
complaints about this movie. Do we say anything negative?
I was worried that this was going to be a boring conversation because I'm like, I don't know. Sometimes some of the entertainment comes in some of the things we can kind of poke holes in and make fun of a little
Hmm.
bit. But not to say I didn't have fun talking about this movie,
No, it's
but
super fun.
yeah, it's just great. And again, I watched it for my 1017th time today, and I'm just like, yeah, fuck yeah. Everything about this is
Hmm.
just the vibe is it's right there, and I'm with it the whole time.
Yeah, because even though, like, if you think about your characters, even though the annoying teen boy, like he's annoying to everybody. So it's not just him being annoying and everybody being like, "Oh, that's kids." Like they're like that motherfucker. They're like that kid, I'm going to kick his ass. Like I like that they are all frustrated by him. So like whatever the audience is seeing, they're also feeling. So I like that too. Yeah, I think it's such a fun movie. And the music is so fun.
So good. I love it.
Yeah,
Um, Now I would have liked to see that teenager die,
me too.
but I'll settle with trauma of watching his father being eaten
I
alive
knew you were going to say
in front
that.
of
I was
him.
thinking the same thing. I was like, he will be scarred for life. So we'll take that as a win.
Now I'm curious, what kind of taglines does this movie have?
And only three. The ultimate underground movie. It will leave you legless.
So, okay, is it legless because they'll eat off your legs? Because we haven't seen that necessarily in the
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah. I mean, it's a tagline. Remember, it's important to know that probably the people writing the taglines have nothing to do with the movie or have even maybe seen the movie. I think it's all marketing and PR people that make these taglines.
Okay, I wasn't sure if they meant legless because graboids don't have legs, or at least yet.
If it's
I
gonna
don't know.
leave you legless, it's eating the legs. I what I need to start doing is taking screenshots of Kyle's face after I say the taglines and then sharing them with everyone
Yeah.
because there's just such a range of emotion.
Yeah, audio podcast can't capture my reactions to some of these things.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, that one's fine.
Okay. They say there's nothing new under the sun, but under the ground. I like that one.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I
Hmm.
like it. I get where they're coming at.
And then I think this one's my favorite. The monster movie that breaks new ground.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, that's Tremors taglines.
Dude,
I
fuck
think
yeah.
they're fun.
So, boo scores. Who wants to go first? You or me?
Mm, I can go first.
Okay.
I think you went first last time.
We have the same exchange literally every single fucking episode.
I know. Is it annoying? Will you all let us know?
No,
Or
I don't
it
care. Don't let me know.
it would be funny though if someone listening was like, "No, it was you that went first last time."
Yeah.
Like, remember your fucking conversations. This movie is perfection.
Love it. Ha.
I came up with that off the top of my head. No, I really love this movie. I think it's so fun. I would recommend it to anyone, even people who don't like horror. I think it's light enough on the scares that anybody could watch it and have a good time. The cast is good, the acting is fun, it's a little bit camp, it's very 90s. I love that it has a Western feel and it takes place during the day. Like that feels very unique. I'm gonna give it 5 boos.
I
I think
love
it's a
that.
perfect gem. Yeah. How about you?
This movie, again, like I said, perfection. Jesus. I
Yeah.
just no notes. Like I said, I
No
watched this
notes.
movie over and over and over again, and it's just as enjoyable as it was the second time, the 200th time, the 1000th time. Um, and then yeah, like I said, you got your stacked cast, you've got your great vibe where it really horror comedies just have that sometimes that kind of higher scrutiny because often they lean either way into one part or the other,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's the horror or the comedy, or just failing at both,
Mm-hmm.
which often happens. And this movie will always be a high mark in that subgenre, which I've said before is my favorite subgenre of horror because
Mm-hmm.
I love horror comedies so much.
So good.
Um, this movie really does it perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I love all these characters. I root for all these characters, and the characters I don't care as much about get pulled through tires and killed. So who needs Nestor?
Perfect.
Yeah, so fuck, I'm gonna come right back with you and say 5 boos for this movie.
Yeah,
Fuck yeah.
Platinum Boo.
Fuck yeah. So we
It's been I
are
feel like it's been a minute.
since Scream.
Yeah.
Yeah. So our second platinum boo of the year, third platinum boo
Mm-hmm.
overall, if y'all are keeping count.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, this movie's fucking perfect. No
It
notes,
really
five
is.
boos.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yep. I had a feeling, but I didn't want to be too presumptuous about that.
I had a feeling too. Um, and gosh, anyone who's listening to this, if you think that this deserves any less, we don't want to hear about it. So please keep that to
Yeah,
yourself and
you can fuck right off.
yeah, you can go fucking just put your head in some dirt and wait for a graboid. So get fucked. Um, anything else you want to say about Tremors?
No, no, we covered all the things, like all A plus plus.
Love it. Hell yeah. Well gosh, thanks everybody. Thanks for hanging out and go do yourself a favor and just go after this, just go watch Tremors again.
And Tremors too, if you have a minute. It's fun. I recommend that one as well.
Aftershocks is a cool like subtitle.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I like that. Um, and yeah, I can't say we're gonna dive into all these sequels. I don't think anyone's gonna want to hear it.
Maybe the second one. I don't know.
Maybe the second one, we'll see.
Yeah.
But then I just
Let
feel
us
weird.
know.
The completionist in me is like we only like is like I'll only do the first one or we do the whole series. I don't know if I
Okay,
could do just
well, you can't make an argument like that because I think about a movie like Hellraiser and Hellraiser 2. Like, you wouldn't want to finish every single Hellraiser movie because they're terrible, but like, I'm gonna
no.
make you talk about that movie at some point. So, spoiler.
Okay, there you go. I found out something new today. So,
Hmm.
all
I
right.
was quietly recommending it this whole time.
I had a feeling that'd come back again. All right. Anything else?
No.
All right. Fuck yeah. Take care, everybody. Just you can't be safe anywhere, so please just check under your feet. Don't walk outside. Just be high up in the air and bring some water though. Stay hydrated and yeah, just fucking just be careful out there. 3, 2, 1, ghost.
Thanks for listening to our episode on Tremors. If you thought this episode was perfection, subscribe to our podcast and leave us a killer review wherever you choose to listen. Find us on Instagram at 321GhostPod and give us a follow to see what we have coming up in the future. You can shoot an email to 321ghostpod@gmail.com to share any comments, questions, or suggest a movie you'd like to hear us chat about. Next week, we're making all of your wishes come true because we're talking Wishmaster. Thanks again for listening, and remember, find the person in your life that owns too much weaponry. Just in case. 3, 2, 1, ghost.